Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. We got another subscriber yesterday. Thank you for subscribing to Giants Baseball 101. We do have a question this time. Actually, it wasn't asked in the YouTube comments, but where I posted the last video on Reddit. So, thank you for jumping in and asking a question. I want to get into that, but first, I want to go over the game yesterday. Very briefly, the Giants beat the Diamondbacks 4-2 yesterday. So after losing the first game of this series, they rallied to take two. Logan Webb pitched an absolute gem, going 7 innings and allowing 2 runs. And then Tyler Rogers and Camilo Doval each pitched a scoreless inning to close it out after that. Brandon Crawford hit an RBI triple for the Giants, then Isan Diaz had an RBI single. J.D. Davis hit an RBI double to, in total, put up 4 runs, and it ended in a 4-2 victory for the Giants. So they're coming around now and hitting when they need to hit. Their pitching, it's decent too, so that they can get the edge. And it was... I mean, they really jumped out of this offensive slump to hit when and where they need to. And now they've climbed out of their losing streak, and now they once again have a very solid winning streak. And now I want to go ahead and answer the question I got. Who could we have gotten that would have instantly made us a World Series contender without giving up top prospects? Well, that's a good question, and I'm going to be very direct and say that in this market, being a seller's market and everything, there was no one worth getting that the Giants were likely to get without giving up something that would hurt a little bit. But for a long time, we've been told that the Giants were preparing for the future. We've been told that for a long time, and this dates back to at least as far back as 2019. I mean, maybe you could say they were planning to contend in 2018. That might be fair enough. Not that they did anything at that trade deadline. But like at least as far back as 2019, they did have a brief... Well, it lasted for a couple months, their wild card run that year, but then they fell out of it. After the 2019 season, I mean, I heard something about them building up their farm system so that they'd be able to challenge the Dodgers. It's been this long-standing thing. We're hearing about the Giants building up their farm system and preparing for the future. Don't get me wrong. That would be great if they could build a farm system that could bring superstar level players up to the big leagues and eventually result in them winning a World Series. But the question is, when is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? Because last year, that was no doubt a concern, giving up top prospects to contend, and the Giants didn't do anything. They didn't sell either last year. They didn't really add on significant talent for their farm system. And 2021 was good because Posey and Crawford and Bells and Longoria all started hitting the ball one more time. But I mean, prior to that, it was pretty much the same thing with just rebuilding and trying to stack the farm system and being afraid of giving up top prospects. And this year, apparently, the same thing. So the question is, basically, it would be great if the Giants could win a World Series by just building within their organization. But when is that going to happen? It's just... The front office has gone a long time without doing anything that seems impressive to us. When are the good times going to come? at this point, when will they be in contention? Is it going to be in 1 year, in 2 years, in 3 years? When's it going to happen? And this year, if they make the playoffs, can they compete successfully in the postseason given the roster that they already have? I'm not saying they can't. They might surprise us, but it's just that when they could have done better and didn't do it, I'm very naturally disappointed at that. So if these top prospects that the Giants have are going to be so valuable that they're not willing to trade them when the situation clearly demonstrates itself as being one in which they can contend and try to win a World Series in a given particular year, then I just have to ask about what the plan is going forward and when it's supposed to be accomplished. Like, they can't just keep rebuilding year after year. There has to be some kind of point of termination, some point at which they can make a playoff run with a really good roster that's loaded with as much superstar talent as they can muster up. And until we get an answer to that, it really doesn't, it just really doesn't give us Giants fans much to look forward to, that the Giants just continue to be afraid of trading their prospects when there are guys on the market that they can get. And it would have, so I'm admitting there would have been some kind of commitment here in order to get someone, whether it was Justin Verlander or, I mean, anyone else like Blake Snell, although the Padres, in the end, they decided to buy, and whether that had to do with the offers they were receiving, it was probably, in the Padres' case, I think it was just more that they want to be in contention, so Snell probably wasn't a real option for the Giants. But, I mean, there were guys out there, like the Dodgers got a couple of pitchers from the White Sox, and if the Giants had been alert to do that in advance of the trade deadline, it could have made a positive difference. Lucas Giolito, the Giants maybe could have picked up if they had been willing to trade prospects for him, and those are really just a couple of names. There are hitters too out there that have good numbers that just would have been far better options for the Giants to get than what they did. But there would have been a commitment to being willing to trade some prospects for really any of these guys. And the Giants, the fact that they weren't willing to do it, it's what do we want here? I mean, this is 2023, and I'm just going to say, in relation to everything, it feels really late to me. It feels really late. I feel like we are moving to the right on the timeline and not coming close to winning championships. So I hope that answers your question. Please feel free to answer any follow-ups there. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please leave your questions and comments. You know where to do it. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.